All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect, scattered abroad. All right, this is the brother Barbazal here with a lesson, and Lord willing, it's edifying. And this lesson will be entitled, This is All About the Elect, or It's All About the Elect, right? Because, currently, who the Lord is dealing with is the elect, which is a remnant, that the Lord has chosen out of the Israelites to obtain salvation and to be those first fruits in the kingdom. All right. And why I'm saying this, what brought me to, do this lesson through the Spirit was, I seen a comment on the comment board and, on the main page, on the main camp page, or on the main Delaware camp page, I should say. And, they're saying you guys preach like you don't even want anybody there. I don't really blame you, or, some along those lines. Well, the answer to that question is, we don't want most of these people there, right? Most of these people are wicked, are against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, do anything that, pertains to the lust, don't cling on to the spirit. We don't want these type of guys around us. We don't want these type of guys to be a part of the ministry. All right, this isn't a numbers game. All right, it's all about the elect. All right, and if you, preaching the truth, right, the 100% truth, the elect will come. It doesn't, it ain't about the message, or not about the message. It ain't about how you deliver the message, should I say. It ain't about how you deliver the message, how rough you are in speech, your appearance, or, whatever the case may be. It's about, preaching the truth and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua through truth and sincerity. All right. So we're looking for, the Lord's elect, those that were chosen, right, predestined, all right, to receive that salvation, which, most of the Israelites is going to have to be destroyed on this side because they're rebellious against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Okay. 2 Timothy 2:10, it says, therefore I endure all things for the elect's sakes, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Hamashiach Yahushua with eternal glory. All right. And, this is also a cut too. This just to go into, we haven't been saved yet. Nobody's been saved yet. All right. The plantation Christianity like to say that just because they believe in Jesus, which that's not the Lord's true name, right? The Lord's true name is Yahushua, but just because they believe in Jesus, they're automatically saved. All right. Which, when you come into the understanding of the truth, you realize that you're not truly saved. All right. Until you, beamed up into those chariots, right? Ultimately being saved from the destruction of this place, having the Lord have that hedge over you. So this is the book of Romans 11:7. It says, what then Israel hath not obtained which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. All right, that's why we're not concerned in bashing Jake over the head. Oh, you going off, you doing this, you doing that. The elect will gravitate towards the truth. We are the mouthpiece of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. We are the messengers of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. All right. So, the elect will hear it. All right. And ultimately believe, build up their faith, build up their wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right. And ultimately, do what they have to do to Lord's will, receive salvation. And that's why we're not concerned about the rest, because the Lord is actively blinding those that he doesn't want to get the understanding, those that are destined to be destroyed. All right. Let's get next precept. This is the book of Isaiah 1:9. Except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant going into the elect, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. Yeah, kind of. So, if there was no elect, ultimately the nation of Israel would have been destroyed. All right, because our people, right, broke the first covenant with the Lord, and that's why we were cast off, as a no people. That's why we're going through all these different curses and plagues and different things like that. Is a result of breaking that covenant, breaking that contract. All right, and the Lord told Israel exactly what was going to happen if they broke that covenant. All right, that's a result of what we're going through today, the punishment that we are currently going through. But the Lord gave us a way back through Yahweh Shai. All right, that's why it's important to believe in Yahweh Shai. All right, acknowledge the sacrifice that he's made for the Israelites, starting with the elect. All right, and ultimately have faith. All right. So we understand our salvation comes through faith. All right. And, we're still going to keep the law to the best of our ability, rehearse the righteous acts. All right. Because that's all a part of, being in the faith. Right. We keep these different things through faith. All right. But we understand that, we can't get to the Father without going through the Son. All right. And you have to know those names as well. Yahweh being the Most High, and Yahweh Shai being the only begotten Son, who they ignorantly called Jesus Christ. Okay. So this is Matthew 24 and 22. It says, and except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So this is all about the elect. And this is the words of Yahweh Shai. All right. Yahweh Shai is not dealing with the whole nation of Israel right now. All right. 2/3 will have to be brought back into the kingdom. You see, and the elect, 1/3 will be the ones who receive the salvation. All right. And be those first fruits in the kingdom to establish that righteous rulership. Right. A kingdom of righteousness. Right. The heathens being in captivity. All right. It ain't no heathens that's going to be in joint heirs, with the Israelites. All right. That's not going to happen. All right. So I'm going to get Zechariah. Oh, no, Salaki. I'm going to get this first. Ezekiel 3 and 6. Well, I'll start at 4. And he said unto me, Son of man, go get thee into the house of Israel and speak my words unto them. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech, of an hard language, but to the house of Israel. So we're supposed to be speaking, this truth of, or Salakia, let me rephrase that. We're supposed to preach repentance unto the Israelites only. So there you go. Verse 6, not to many people of a strange speech and of an hard language, whose words thou canst not understand. Surely had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto thee. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto thee, for they will not hearken unto me, for all the house of Israel are impudent and hard-headed. Yeah. So most of our people are like that. Most of our people will be destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Most of our people will cling on to, the false idols, right? The wicked ideologies, right? The Western philosophies. Most of our people is going to cling on to that until they be destroyed, because they're a hard-headed people. Continue to scoff, to continue to scorn, continue to come against the men of the Lord until they ultimately be destroyed. All right. But you're going to have that remnant that's going to, listen to the song. Right. That's ultimately going to hearken unto the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right. But that's a remnant. All right. Verse 8. Behold, I made thy face strong against their faces, and thy forehead strong against their foreheads. As an adamant harder than flint have I made thy forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they may be a rebellious house. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, all my words that I shall speak unto thee, receive in thine heart and hear with thine ears. And go get thee to them of the captivity unto the children of thy people, and speak unto them, and tell them, Thus saith the Lord, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear. You see? So we're supposed to give out this message whether they listen or not. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're making ourselves being seen, putting out the videos on YouTube, on Rumble, whatever the case, whatever the case may be, or not Rumble, so like Odyssey or whatever the case may be, right? Pushing out the the word to the elect. All right. So that's all we concerned about. That's why we're not concerned about being the camp with the most numbers, being PC, anything like that, because this, the elect is going to get it, the word raw, uncut, without, sugarcoating anything. All right. Because the elect is ultimately looking for that 100% truth. All right. These different people that's concerned about numbers, big camps and everything, they all about gimmicks, money, hustling, gaining, some type of status, attention. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to be servants of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And that's all we're concerned about. All the, rewards and, everything like that. We understand that that's all going to come later in the kingdom. Okay, this ain't our rest. All right. We storing up the heavenly treasures. All right, not the worldly possessions that that moth corrupteth, right? That's going to be destroyed on this side, right? The scriptures going to the works therein shall be burned up, roughly paraphrasing. So all this stuff got to go. All right, that's why we're not concerned with this world. We're not attached to this world. We preach to detach from this world. All right, because you have to detach in order to be saved. All right, if you don't detach from the world, you're gonna take that sea hip. You're gonna take the mark of the beast, right? You're gonna give in to the hour of temptation because you're not being built up. All right, but that'll do with the lesson, and Lord willing, it was edifying. So with that, I'd like to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushua, B'Hashem Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom.